Looks like we're live. Welcome. How's everybody doing? Um, 8:02. Sorry, a little bit late. A little tardy. Well, today's the 30th of April, 2024, and life goes on, right? Life goes on. A lot of distractions in the news, but I've been doing my best to keep myself informed, but not get too wrapped around the axle about some of that stuff. It doesn't do me any good. And it takes away from my work. My work here. My work here is very, very important. It's the most important thing that I'm doing now outside of raising my family and taking care of my wife. That is really the most important thing that I'm doing. And I had quite a day of it today. The 4th, Tuesday, I probably tell you this every week and you get tired of hearing it, but I milk on Tuesdays. Me and Frank milk. We have teams and we kind of rotate. So tomorrow is Frank and Rachel. And let's see, Rachel and me and Rachel are on Friday. I forget who's on Thursday. But I have 2 days off now. So I have probably more days off than anybody, which is kind of nice. I have 2 days. I have Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday is the days that I milk. And we milk in teams. So there's the primary person who's actually in the milk house. The secondary is the person that takes care of putting the equipment together, getting the equipment out there. And as the buckets fill, we bring it back into the kitchen, not the kitchen of the house, but the kitchen of the old butcher shop, which is now the store, the outpost. It's the outpost, and bottle it. And so today, we did pretty good. We had a cow, our beloved Face, that had a calf yesterday morning, maybe. I don't know. When I got up in the morning at 7, I looked out and the calf was there. So I'm not really sure when the calf came, but she was already dry, and Face still had an umbilical cord hanging out. But so who knows? It could have come from midnight on. Could have been like 2, 3 in the morning. Who knows? And luckily, we had stormy weather the day before, but that doesn't really matter. You know, they'll still have a calf in a storm. And nice little calf, bull, which I don't know. There's mixed emotions on that. We won't keep him around as a bull. We'll castrate him, and then as soon as he's weaned, we'll put him out with the steers, and so he will live out there. And he'll forget who we are. Right now, he only knows us because when we brought Face in to milk shortly after she had the calf, we went and took the calf, carried it up to the house, and when Face went back out, there was no calf, and so she just went to the hay feeder, and no bellering, no nothing. I don't even know if she had fed him. Who knows? But he bonds to us. And that's kind of a good thing, because if we allow her to nurse him for, say, 2 weeks, which a lot of people argue is the only way to do it, then when we do take him, she's upset with us, very upset with us. I mean, upset to the point where she could do something to you. Even a docile milk cow, you take their young and they don't like that. And then the calf, is quite upset too, because all he knows is his mom. And so this way here, we have him on a bottle. When he sees us, he thinks food. He likes us. We pat him. We, do all the things that you want to do to him to make him feel comfortable and all that stuff. So it works out really well. So that was kind of exciting yesterday, getting a calf. And let's see. Before I get into the subject tonight, which is, I want to talk a little bit about the homestead, and operating as a business. All right. I want to talk about that tonight because I talk to people quite a bit in the homesteading world or the small farms world, whatever you want to call it. We're making stuff, we're growing stuff, and we're fixing stuff all the time. We do our own veterinary, we do our own pipe fitting, we do our own welding, our own carpentry, our own fencing. You really have to be able to do as much as you possibly can. And I'm going to get into that too as well. But before I do that, let's do a little bit of a little housekeeping, as they say, and let you know that tonight's show is going to be sponsored by the Anyone Can Farm Tribe Plus. Okay, so the tribe is all of us. It's a Facebook group, actually, the Anyone Can Farm Tribe. If you're not a member, get over there because there's a lot of cool stuff that gets posted there. It's sort of a place where people can post what they're doing, how they did it, what they want to do, ask for advice, get advice on sick animals, sick plants. Is a wealth of information on there. I don't post on there as much as I should, but every time I do make just kind of a show and tell video, it winds up over there. And so I think that's helpful. But that's the tribe. Now, Tribe Plus is a little bit different. It's people from the tribe that want to take their homesteading game to the next level for them. We offer a one-on-one consulting. That will be on Wednesday nights every other week. So tomorrow night, there'll be a consulting call. That seems to be what people want the most. We thought that we would make videos on fencing and how to castrate baby pigs and how to do this and how to do that. People don't really want that because the internet is full of that type of information. So that's not what people are really digging on. The consulting seems to be working very well. All right. We have the consulting call works really well. I do consulting, one-on-one consulting. If you want to do a phone consult or if you want to have me come to your place, I will do that. But it's expensive because I have to leave here or I have to take time out of what I'm doing here. And my work here is important. But passing information on to you and giving you my best advice for your situation, that can be helpful too. A lot of times it's really not necessary. The Tribe Plus consulting Zoom call on Wednesdays, most things can be handled there. And then you're going to have other people there that are going to be hearing the question, hearing the answer, and they can add things too. A lot of times I'm sitting back and listening to what the other people are saying because they have a lot of good advice. And this is important. So you get that service with Tribe Plus. You also get breaks on a lot of different products, like the boots that we wear, Hyzea boots. They're really good boots. They're as good as muck boots. Well, they're better than muck boots, but they're as good as dry shods. And we can get them cheap. We can get them for like $70. So you get a break on that as a Tribe Plus member. Events that we do here, there is a Tribe Plus price, right? So basically what you're doing is every month you cough up a little bit of money to the Tribe Plus, makes you part of the group, right? So you get bragging rights, right? We use those dollars for facilities here. Now, we benefit from that, but also you guys benefit from that because we do things here that benefit this community. Okay, so for instance, in June, we're having a pastured poultry class, and it's a great class. Big seller. Last year, we had 25 people signed up for it, and it wound up being about 30. That was okay. We had enough personnel to handle it, but that's a great class. If you want to get into livestock homesteading, that is the place to begin. In my opinion, this is all my opinion because there's no like manual on this, but I think it's a good place to start. And we go through everything that you need to know to, on your way home from that class, make the phone call to the hatchery and get your chicks coming. Then you will be able to build your brooder. You will be able to build your first couple chicken tractors, maybe just one, and you'll be able to designate a place on your homestead where you're going to process those birds. You don't want to be taking them to somebody else to do that. That's expensive, and it cuts out from your bottom line, which I am going to talk about tonight, your bottom line on the homestead, right? So you get that class at a break, and it's a pretty significant break. You get a really good break on the campground. So if you want to come the day before and stay on the farm, you get a really decent price on that. Homestead Hog Harvest is a really good class too. That's in the fall, right on or about November 1st. We usually, whatever Friday that is when we pick. Let's see, and other things that we do, things that we haven't even dreamt up doing yet. I think I want to do a class or an instructional. It wouldn't be like a classroom, but on the homestead milk cow, because more and more we're seeing people from our side saying milking cows, that sounds profitable. Well, it is fun and it is profitable, and you get something out of it. Is a superfood. I mean, it's actually a superfood, and I want to touch on that tonight too, about processes. So I'm thinking about doing that because more and more people are wanting to get into it. There's no chance that the market is going to be saturated. You know, all we're doing is taking customers from Myers, you know, and they've got millions of customers. And when they decide that they're going to drink raw milk, usually it's for health reasons. Usually it is for childhood development. You know, moms want the best for their kids. And a lot of times there's bad information given out about things. And milk, raw milk, has been one of the things that they have beat up on forever. And they're working an agenda for sure. They tell you it's dangerous, not good for you, all that stuff. But in reality, it is a superfood. And if it's done right, it's profitable and fun. Um, and we'll go into that. But I'm thinking about doing a class like that so people can come and watch the process happen, hands-on, see what all is involved, and then kind of take it back to their homestead and think, where could I do this? And, you know, there's a lot of, there's preconceptions about that. Like, oh, I don't have all the land that you need. You don't need that much land. You really don't. Cows eat hay. It's real nice if you do have land, because in the summertime they eat grass. But if you don't have that, you just commit to buying hay. Hay is actually pound for pound extremely cheap. And I'm actually going to touch on that tonight. Hold on a sec. I want to shut this door. I opened it up because it was real warm in here. But there's an aroma that's wafting in here. Jill went for a walk, and she had two of the dogs with her. The old boy stayed home. He didn't really want to go. He was just tired, I guess. And the two younger dogs got a skunk. I don't know if they killed her or not, but they both got sprayed real good. And then, of course, they roll around in the mud to try and get it off. So they're a mess right now. We don't do anything. It just wears off. Those of you that are going to come this weekend for Seedling Day, you'll probably detect it. So tonight's show is sponsored by Tribe Plus, and you can sign up. Jill probably dropped the link in the comments here. She usually does. Okay. Good. If I could get a hand tonight, if you guys would chime in here and just say hello and all that stuff, where you're from and all that stuff. It helps with the algorithm, whatever an algorithm is. I don't know. If there was 5 things on a table, which one's the algorithm? I couldn't pick it out. I really don't know. It's one of those terms, it's the algorithm, right? We are operating in the ether a lot. Terms that I don't understand, but and I don't want to understand. But if we want the show, the Anyone Can Farm experience, if we want that to expand, then we probably need to do something here. So if you can share this, if you can like it, give us thumbs up, all that stuff, it seems to make a difference. All right. Okay, we got a couple things coming up. Like I said, this Saturday, 10 o'clock, we have the Seedling Exchange. We used to call it the Seed Exchange. Now it's the Seedling Exchange. We've moved it into May because sometimes in April we get tough weather in April. So it's primarily we're going to be outside. And right now, the weatherman is saying, he changes his tune a lot, but let's see what he's saying for this Friday, Saturday. High of 70 and mostly sunny. So that would really be nice. That would really be nice. We're trying something different this year. Jill has allowed vendors to come. So these are people who make stuff on their homestead and want to come and present it to this crowd of people and maybe sell some stuff, maybe pass some information. Who knows? I was at the Clerics the weekend before last, and they had vendors there, and it was pretty neat. They had a lot of cool stuff. So I could see this being done more because those of us that are in homesteading, as I'm going to touch on tonight, part of our goal is to make a living at it. And that means generate dollars, right? Generate dollars. Sometimes I call it making a gain. Making a gain. You do a process. How well you do it, a lot of times is calculated in profit, in gain, whether that profit is dollars or it's traded for something or whatever, but it is a gain. And that's really what making a living is. When you work at a job, a job, you go in and you trade your time and expertise for their dollars. And maybe they give you something else like profit sharing or insurance or something like that. But it's a change. You're making it's an exchange. You're making a contract with them for their stuff and you provide them with your stuff. So it's the same thing in this business. A lot of us start out in homesteading as just a I don't know. I got chickens because I wanted to get chickens. I wasn't thinking I'm gonna put a hurting on that grocery store and grow my own chickens. That wasn't it. I just wanted to. Me and Jill, our first place that we bought, our second place that we bought actually. We had a house in town, but then we bought a house out of town, and it was an old farm. And it had a barn and it had a hen house. Like, we should put some hens in there. And I didn't know anything about it. I've never had chickens before. And so we did. And that led to, everything. But on that place, we wound up getting some little pigs. I bought them at the same store that I bought the hens at. And they had little pigs there, little wiener pigs. I'd never kept a pig before. And I got 4 of them. And that's kind of where it all progressed from. That was our little 13-acre farm, which actually it was pretty good size. It was out in Montana. Not exactly a ranch or anything, but it was good for us. And it had a little creek going through it, and we really enjoyed it. But that's where we got bit by the farming bug or the homesteading bug, I would say. And then when we moved here, I actually kind of was trying to model this place after what everybody else was doing, and it didn't really work out. And we backed up to where we were before. We were as diversified as we felt like being, and doing things that made profit, and staying away from the stuff that didn't. Anyway, so yeah, seedling day will be this Saturday. 10 o'clock is start time, and it's not like there's going to be any speakers or anything like that. It's just kind of a time of fellowship and friendship, kind of get psyched for the season. Um, I'm hoping that people bring a lot of seedlings. I'm hoping that they don't want to haul them home and they leave them all here. That's what I'm hoping. But I really enjoy stuff like this because I get to talk with people and meet friends that have been here before, that I haven't seen in a year or longer or whatever. So it's fun. We have fun. The end of it, it's supposed to be 10 to 2, but last year people were here until 7 at night, and we didn't kick them out. I mean, we were yakking with them. We were probably keep them here longer than they wanted to be. So we'll have a campfire, we'll have potluck. So if you want to bring something to pass, that'd be pretty cool. I'm not sure what we're going to barbecue at this point. We'll think of something. Maybe we'll knock a pig off or something. I'm not sure. I haven't talked it over exactly with Jill. But we'll do something. We'll have fun. There'll be plenty of food, plenty of things to do, and I'm pretty optimistic that this whole vendor thing can work out really well, and people who are not necessarily vendors but have seedlings to bring and share. I mean, you can put a price on it if you want. It doesn't matter to me. You don't have to have a license or anything to do it. So that should be fun. That's coming up. I am feverishly getting things done this week that I want complete for that day. Today we finished up Alcatraz, which is the answer to our goat dilemma. We got these 2 little goats last year for Tribe Day. And Tribe Day is, again, where we open up the farm, but it's more like a 2-day event. People camp here, and we do a lot of eating and yakking, and we actually have speakers come in that teach you how to do what they do. And this year is going to be really exciting because they've got some humdingers lined up. I'm actually going to be one of the speakers, so that's cool. So, yeah. You can camp out if you want next door. I'm hoping it will be dry enough. Some of the campsites may not be, right? So, Justin, if you're coming, I don't think your campsite's going to be dry enough for you to get in. Maybe it will. We'll see. I just went through there on my motorcycle, and it was 3 inches of water in the field. So, we've had a lot of rain lately. But who knows? It might be dried up by then. But we'll see. Your truck's pretty big, and I think it would sink. I got stuck last week out in the field with my Jeep. Yeah, I got stuck big time, and then made a big mess getting it pulled out. So, yeah, we got to be careful this time of the year. And then the next thing coming up, this isn't on Baker's, but it's at Lake Odessa. It is the Mitten Homestead Conference. And I'm getting really psyched for this. It's the 17th and the 18th of May. Mina Postman and Tiffany, I can't remember her last name, are putting it on. Let's see. I'm gonna look it up because I feel as though I have done Tiffany a disservice here. I haven't. She's really working on this too. Let's see, Tiffany, T-I-F. Tiffany Doolittle. And I have spoken to her on the phone. Real nice people. They're a little younger than I am. and they feel that Michigan needs its own Homestead conference, which I totally agree with. I totally agree with that. So I'm going to be there. I was asked to speak about pigs, heritage pigs, and I want to just run through the whole process with people. My thing is just going to be basically a slideshow and then me talking, and then I'm going to leave like 15 minutes at the end for questions. And then there'll be time where you can get a hold of me like at the lunchtime. And then after, it's 2 days. And then the second day, I'm going to be talking pastured poultry, which I guess I'm an expert in. But there was another guy that was scheduled, couldn't make it for health reasons, so I'm filling in for him. So both of those things I do a lot of here, and I'm honored to be able to speak at this conference. And they got some real beauty speaking at this one too. There's a guy that's going to be doing orcharding, and so that's coming up as well. And then the pastured poultry class here at Baker's is coming up on June 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's so far away I can't see it. 8th, June 8th. It's a Saturday, and you don't want to miss that. That's a good one. That's a real good one. Okay, so I want to talk about. I had a conversation with a friend today, and she said something that I hear a lot, right? But the rest of the conversation leading up to this point, was all about efficiency. And another term that my wife likes to use is elegance. Elegance. I like that too. Elegance is a process that you've knocked off all of the rough edges, right? And I guess that would fall in the category of fortifying your position, sharpening your stick, whatever, sharpening your knife, honing your edge, something like that. So constantly making changes to your process to make it better. And so that was the conversation we were having. Actually, I called her because I had some questions about a certain milk bottle. Like our milking operation, we put our milk in half-gallon jars that are ball jars, and we're having a problem because they get mixed in with people's canning jars, and I don't think that we're getting them back. And so we went through this process, and we made a sticker. Carrie Petrin. I mispronounced her name too. Petiprin. Carrie Petiprin. She does all of our graphics and does a real nice job. She's the one that made the sign out in front of the house. I am the one that painted it, but I copied from the design that she made. Carrie Petiprin, if you need some design work done, she's your person. You want to get a hold of her. You can get her on Tribe Plus. Just Tribe. On Tribe. Facebook, you can message her on there. So she made us some nice stickers for the top of the bottles, and we've been putting them on, and they have a little place where you can write on there the date. And these stickers are made to stay on the bottle tops, but people are peeling them off. Like they're trying to do us a favor by cleaning the bottles, bringing them back, and they're peeling them off. And we're saying, hey, don't peel these off. But the message doesn't get all the way down to whoever's doing dishes in the house. So I said, this is not good. This is not elegant, because we have built in frustration in this. So I started thinking, okay, what are we going to do? We got to do something else. And so I started doing kind of a search, and I find milk bottles with a 48 millimeter neck on it, and a grip on it, a regular milk bottle like we used to have. And they're actually pretty inexpensive. So I called up this friend of mine that milks as well, and I wanted to know from her what her experiences were there, and da 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 da. Turns out she actually just ordered up 900 of them, and it's going to have their logo on it. This is Copperhead Farm. Is who it is. and I'm sure she would share anything that you need to know with you. You know, if you just got a hold of her in the tribe. Yeah, she's a good egg. Um, so anyway, I'm talking with her, and it's all about elegance. It's all about efficiency. But I did hear one thing. And I hate to do this to you there, Copperhead, but she said, I'm not looking to make a bunch of money on this. And it had to do with a recipe, you know, for something that she was doing. And I hear that now. When she said it, I took it in stride, right? But I do hear other people, other homesteaders saying, well, you know, I'm not looking to make money at it. And when I hear that, I think it's almost like saying, well, you know, I'm going to do this process, but you know, I don't give a damn how it comes out. I'm just going to do it because I feel like doing it. That'd be like saying, well, you know, I'm going to go tarpon fishing, but I don't care if I catch one. I'm going to go deer hunting, but I don't really care if I catch one. Well, some people are like that. I have sat on deer stand before just to sit out there and say I went hunting, but I really didn't want to shoot anything because then I had to take care of it, and I didn't want to do that. So but in our case, in homesteading, and you that may be the route that you want to go. You may want to lose money at everything you do on your farm, and that is your right as an American citizen. That's protected under the US Constitution. But if you want to make a gain, if you want to make a profit at homesteading, that is your right as well. It's almost as if we've been trained that we'll get left alone if we're not making money at it. You know, when we make money, when we make a gain, we think there's a boogeyman out there that's going to want to kind of screw you. Well, that's how government works for sure. I mean, I put a nice building out here, and as soon as my township supervisor saw that, he had to get in here and reassess my taxes. So I made a gain on the property, right? I made things better, and they want to take more from you. And they actually did. They raised my taxes $300 a year because I put a building up. You know, the old building blew away in a storm, so I built another one. And they boost that's government. That's government. And they do that. I don't know if it's conscious or not, but you're always kind of worried that somebody's going to jump out of the bushes and say, you can't make money at raising chickens. Who do you think you are? That's only Tyson can do that, the Chinese, right? That's kind of the feeling that people have, you know, and I think that's completely, you got to get over that. And you got to think that this is the greatest country in the world. And farming is one of the only, it may be the only process that you can create wealth out of little or nothing. And you're actually working hand in hand with not the government, not a company, but you're actually walking hand in hand with the creator, right? How's that one grab you, right? And let me explain that. Let's say you get a tomato. Your neighbor gives you a tomato, or when you're at the store, or let's say you go and get a hamburger and there's a slice of tomato on there, and you take some of the seeds out of that tomato. Let's say you've got 15 seeds, and there's a way to do that. You scoop it out, you let it dry, you know, and then you take those seeds and you put them in a little bottle. And then come spring, right around now, and putting them in some dirt. Dirt. Potting soil? No, dirt. Go out into the forest, pull the leaves back, and then scoop some of that nice black, dark, good smelling dirt out of there. Bring it home. Put it in whatever, styrofoam cups, and put that little seed right in there. That tomato plant has the potential of making maybe a bushel of tomatoes if you do it really smart. And there's people in the tribe that are really smart at doing that. Bryce has tomato plants that are 15 feet high in his greenhouse, and they produce a lot of tomatoes. So what is a bushel of tomatoes worth? I really have no idea. Maybe somebody could chime in. What is a bushel of tomatoes worth? Maybe somebody can Google it. Why don't you Hey, put a Google on that, will you? But how many tomatoes can a plant like that produce? I don't know. Because that's not my thing. I grow tomatoes, but I grow tomatoes because I like to go out there and grab them and eat them, and I like them in salad, and I like, tomato sauce that Jill makes and all that stuff. But that's not my, I don't grow tomatoes to sell them necessarily. Not that I wouldn't, I would, but I have enough things going in the summertime, which that is, put kind of just as a farm family function. Yeah, we plant them every year and we put trellises up and we get a boatload of them. And I eat so many of them that I got them, I eat a lot of them. I really like them. But that seed, one little seed that you took off your plate at some restaurant, has the potential to, from it and some dirt, you have the potential for a lot of value to come out of it. If you were to sell that, early tomatoes, they bring a really good price. So are you working hand in hand with the state government or the county government? Is there anybody that can stop you from growing tomatoes? No, it's your right. Who are you working with? You're working with the creator. What do you do that makes that seed germinate and grow into a mighty plant that gives lots and lots of fruit? In the scope of things, you don't really do that much. Well, I got the dirt. I watered it. Yeah, okay. All right. That's very noble of you. You got the dirt and you watered it, and then you built the trellis. All right. All right. There's some skill there. But what is really going on there is way above your pay grade. You're basically watching it happen. And sometimes you watch things like this happen so much that you kind of lose track of the value that you are gaining. You lose track of it. Okay, my cow Face just gave us a calf yesterday morning. What did I do? Not much. I didn't do anything in the birth of that. The bull, yeah, he was my bull. I did pay for him. Not much. And then he was here eating grass and being a pain, but he was the one who inseminated her. And then that whole process, I didn't have anything to do with that. I understand very little of it. We've had biology in high school, maybe even went to college and got biology. And you think you think you could do it? You think you could replicate that without a bull and without the egg and the sperm? No, you couldn't do it. Yeah, I pray. I pray. Yeah, I was very thankful for that little bull, but I didn't have much to do with it. But that gain is huge. It's huge, and he will be here. We will steer him, and he will be here for 2 years. And when he's processed, he will be a big animal that will give us lots of beef for our table and to put in the store and sell. Right? So you take a little calf like that give him 2 years of walking around eating grass. I've got to build the fences and manage that. So I do some, but I'm working with a process that kind of works on its own, and it's almost magical. We're creating wealth out of very little, that or very components that are not very valuable. I mean, I can get if we're going to artificially inseminate our cows, uh, a straw of semen is $10, and then to get it put in, it's the whole process. Our guy does it for $80, and he's willing to do it. He's glad to do it, and he does a good job. I don't have a bull anymore, and I don't recommend you guys have a bull. And I know I've made that recommendation, then I've gone back on it because I came in contact with a really hot bull for a good price, and I jumped on it. And when we processed him, he gave us lots of meat. And I'm actually going to enjoy some of his meat tonight, actually, when this is done. So the gain in agriculture is different than anything else. When you are a bookkeeper, let's say, and you go to work for 8 hours, you're not creating anything. You're not managing anything that's a creation. You're basically just moving numbers around. You're pushing numbers around on a paper, on a spreadsheet or whatever like that. If you are mining, let's say you're a miner, you're digging something that's there out, and then you sell it to a refiner, and the refiner refines it. But they're not creating anything. They're just, right? See, but in agriculture, you are working with the creator. You're not creating it, you're managing it, but you are creating. And we have this crazy notion, and I think it comes from the pit of hell, because who's responsible for the creation? God. He's responsible for that. It's his thing, right? The calf is alive and doing well. I kept it warm. I fed it a bottle, but all those systems are way above what I can do, right? That is God's handiwork doing that, not mine. I got a little bit in there. I'm a steward kind of. But that calf, is worth, right now, calves are real expensive. I could probably get $500 for them right now, or more. I'm not sure what they're going for because I don't really sell them. Why would I? Because he's worth a whole lot more than that to me. If you take a beef to 2 years old, a steer, even though he's not exactly like a Hereford or a beef breed, he's still going to make some good beef. And we do the butchering on that, so we add value to that animal for human consumption, and we sell it by the cut. You would be really surprised what that will bring. It's north of 5,000 and just south of about 8,000, right? Depending on, how it's sold and all of that. So that's an incredible gain. Incredible. All right. So in agriculture, there is a massive gain to be had. Massive gain. It's not always money jingling around in your pocket. It's not always, but it can be. And we need dollars to subsist. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I recommend farming as a business because it fills a lot of squares for me as a head of household, father, protector. These children are my responsibility to get them trained up so that they're going to be able to take care of their families, right? And the farm is a great place to start. It is a great place to start. It's a great place to finish too. I Didn't grow up in a farming community, but I was kind of a woodsy kid. I was a Boy Scout. I did a lot of things. I spent a lot of time in the woods just playing and building and hunting and fishing and all that stuff. And then I was in the military for 20 years. That served me very well in the military, what I did as a kid. And then when I came out, I was ready to farm, right? I had the attention to detail and discipline and all that stuff, which is very necessary in farming. You have to have that. You may develop that over time. Let's say that you don't have it. Oh, you will if you're going to continue, because your failures are based on your lack of attention to detail. And if anybody has the idea right now that I don't have failures here, oh, you are sadly mistaken. I've had some doozies, just doozies here. But because of those doozies, I am careful when it comes to each process that we partake in here. So we do mushrooms, we do gardening, we do pastured poultry, we do pastured pigs, we have beef cows, we have milk cows, we have egg layers, hens, we teach. Let's see, what else do we do? We do biochar, quite a bit of biochar, which is a good thing. So all of these processes, every one of them has pitfalls. There's things that can go wrong. And I could take each one of those and I could tell you a beauty of a story that has happened. And once that happens, you don't want it to happen again. Hold on a second. I'm going to turn a light on. I seem like I'm in a shadow here. And this show routinely gets watched by people in Hollywood. So I might get out of this career at some point and go into the golden lights. I may. I doubt it. Hold on a second. Little fortification here. Raw milk. So, where was I? In your processes, you actually have, okay, these processes were given to us, right? I'll put it this way. They were given to us for our subsistence, right? We need to eat. Human beings need to eat. And, the animals are for us. The flora is for us, flora and the fauna, right? They're there for us. And we are in some ways like the story in the Bible of Adam and Eve. Our job is to manage this. And I don't know if that actually happened. I wasn't there, but it's a great story. It's a great story. And you can learn a lot from it, right? So here's an example. When we get our baby chicks, we get them in the mail, we put them in our brooder. The first brooder that I ever had was just an electric light that hung, and then I had a cardboard box, and I had some chicks in there. That was the first one that I ever did. And the thing got all wet and fell apart, and then I started noticing that this electric light wasn't too efficient and all that stuff. So I built another one, and that was a little bit better. But these electric lights in the barn, that was kind of bothering me. I didn't feel good about that. So and then I built another one. That's where the office is. If you ever come here, the office off of the butcher shop, that was a brooder. That was the whole purpose of that, was so we could brood lots of chickens in there. The problem with that was it's on a concrete floor and there's a concrete border around it. And one of my kids left the water running in there. And so he said, well, the chickies like to swim. And so a lot of them swim, but there was no lifeguard there and a lot of them died. So that was not as good a process. And there was the management of the bedding and the manure. You had to manage that. You can't just leave it in there. And so I came up with a better idea, and the better idea is the new brooder, and it's on skids. So I think it's 10 or 8 by 12 on skids. It's got a metal roof. It's insulated. I have a hover heater that hangs in there. So I have a 100-pound propane bottle that's on the front of it. And it's a self-contained unit. I can move it. It has no floor in it. So when we get the chicks, we bed the floor, the ground, the bare ground, usually the grass, with sawdust, bone dry sawdust that I buy. I think we pay $5 a bale for it. And that insulates the chicks from the ground. And, it's a really good setup when the chicks are moved out of there, out into the chicken tractors. Then we just move the brooder to another spot that's clean. So there's not a lot of cleaning. All the bedding is out in the open. So I can skim it off with the loader. I can rake it up if I want to and rake it into the loader. And I've got it. It's not like I have to wheelbarrow it out of a barn or anything like that. So it's more elegant, way more elegant. And the safety factor. I hate seeing electric heat lamps hanging in people's barns, especially like when it's connected to their house, because those things are notorious for burning buildings down. I got a friend that burnt a barn down with them, and I went and then he built a new one. And I went down there to pick up some wiener pigs from him. He was at work. So I went in and he had one of them damn things running in his barn. I could not believe it. So I don't like them, and I don't recommend that you use them. But this thing that I'm using, a hover heater, actually has an open flame, and you might be thinking, well, that's worse. Well, not really, because it hangs from a chain. The chickens aren't going to break the chain. It's 16, 18 inches above them, and it reflects down onto them. So I've got it suspended in there so it doesn't contact anything. So I think I set it up safely, and we've never had a problem. But if I did have a problem, it would burn by itself. And yeah, I'd lose the chicks and all that stuff, but I wouldn't lose the barn or the house, So, but anyway, one time we had a bad hailstorm, and we're up here by the house watching the hail. Whoa, look at this. This is really cool. And there was chicks in that brooder, and they piled because the hailstones hitting the roof made a lot of noise. They panicked and they pile. They climb up on top of each other for comfort or something. And when my daughter went out to do chores that evening, it was a steaming pile of dead baby chicks. So we learned. Well, the other night, laying in bed, I got woke up by a flash. And I was like, what was that? And then I heard the thunder. Boom, boom. So we had a really bad thunderstorm. And I'm kind of groggy, and I'm thinking, I better go check the chicks. They were 2 weeks old, 2.5 weeks old. Pretty solid by then. But I'm saying to myself, I better get up and check them. I'll be a hero. And then I kind of thought, well, it's not raining that hard. They're probably okay. And I drift back off to sleep. And then I wake up again. I got to get out there and do that. Then I drift back off to sleep. Next morning, I get up. First thing, Frank's already been out. I said, is the brooder okay? And he says, yep. And I said, we dodged the bullet on that one. We did. Could have been bad. And if something had gone wrong, it was my fault. I mean, I got woke up at night. I was the one that was supposed to take charge of that and do it. And I kind of thought I should, but then I thought it would be okay. And that play it safe. Get out there, just go check them, and they'll, then you'll go back to sleep and everything will be all right. But I didn't. I didn't do it. And if something had gone wrong, it was my fault and nobody else's, right? So I would have not known that if we hadn't had a disaster another time. And that's just one process that we do here, right? And a disaster like that can cost you. I mean, it can cost you a lot. So when you have these problems, they're going to cost where? Where do they cost you? They cost you the pain of seeing all that loss, all that livestock dying needlessly, I guess. Needlessly, yeah. But where else is it going to cost you? It's going to cost you in the pocketbook, in the bank account, because you paid, $1.50 for each one of those chicks, and then you put quite a bit of feed into them. They're 2 weeks old when they died. We only keep them around here for about 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks. So they were a pretty good way down the field. They were at the 30-yard line, right? Or the 40-yard line. And then, boom, we lost them. So that's a huge loss, right? And it hurts monetarily, right? So when you take those chicks to full term and you process them, you own the process. You do the process yourself. And then you exchange that for dollars to whoever, your neighbors, your patrons, family members. Even if it just comes in the house and you feed your family with it, it still has value. The gain on that is around $10. That's the number that we're going with now. We were going with $9 for a while, but now we're going with 10. Why? What changed? You might ask. What changed? Well, the process had some inelegant areas, right? A chick will grow at its maximum growth rate if the environmental conditions are good. They're conducive to growing fast. So if those animals are here for 8 weeks, that's peak, and they reach a 6-pound bird, which is going to dress out at 5.5, 4.5. That is really good. People like those 4.5 pounders. And when we get paid and then we calculate our expenses, we're talking about a $10 bill off every bird. So if you raise 1,000 of them a summer, well, let's say that's a lot. Let's just do it this way. Let's do it another way. Let's not go with 1,000, because it's like talking, well, if we do 1 trillion of them, let's just talk, what's a good number? Let's say we do 75. And times 10. Ooh, actually, I double tapped it. 75. I know what the answer is, but I just want to be able to show you this. Okay. That's not bad for 75 birds. That's profit. That's profit. That is your net. That's your net, because we're not selling anything wholesale. Why would we do that? Why would I do that? I'm selling it to the end user. Why would I sell it to them wholesale? I'll sell it to them at my price, and it's a superior product. So take it or leave it. You don't have to buy it, but we sell them like hotcakes. So must be doing something right. But every sticking point, every lack of elegance along the way needs to be corrected. And the more we correct that and get it running like a sewing machine, the more profit we're going to make. And there's nothing wrong with profit. Of that $750, you may pay your insurance. You may, you you have things that you have to purchase with dollars. You may buy gasoline for your car or car repairs or something like that. But it's over and above maybe your straight job that you're doing, or maybe dad works out and mom manages this with the kids. That's a great place to start. That's where we started. I worked full time for the Air Force, and Jill managed the farm while I was gone. But back then, I calculated, thought about profit at all. I never thought about it. I just thought, wow, look what we did. We raised our own chickens, and then they come in the house, and then Jill prepares them, and we eat them, and whoa, this is good compared to store chickens. I wasn't thinking, boy, we made some money on this. We made $10 on this. I wasn't thinking that. But when you're in this at another level, and let's say you're going to raise 500 of them in a summer, that's pretty doable, actually. It's pretty manageable. And your gain is going to be, whoa, look at that. I don't know. My economy, that's a chunk. That's a chunk. I think at the peak of our processing, we were doing like 2,500 a summer. So that's 25 grand. Okay. So there's money to be had here. And what, you're going to feel bad about it? You should feel good about it. You're in a country where you can make a gain legitimately, and you can increase your standard of living. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that, right? And this is what I'm going to talk about at the Homestead conference. There's nothing wrong with making profit. As a matter of fact, if you're not making profit, I think that the people who are, well, I'm not concerned, like me before, I was immature in this process. But when you mature in this process and you say, I want this process to become more and more elegant, you're looking at it like, well, am I making a profit? Am I making a profit? And you can apply this. I make fun of golf quite a bit. I actually like playing golf. When I played golf, I actually hit a Japanese guy with a ball over in Japan. It was a blast. That was one of the best golf games I ever had. But over here in the States, I haven't played any golf, and I probably won't. I probably won't because it costs money, and when I come home, I have less money in my pocket than when I went. I don't like things like that. Like, even if I go deer hunting and I bring home a deer, I am gaining. I'm ahead, after I pay for my fuel, my guns paid for, my lunch and all that stuff, and I bring home a deer, I'm ahead. I'm ahead of the game. If I go fishing and I bring fish home, sometimes you don't, but sometimes you really do. And that can get you really ahead. When all that goes in the freezer, that's worth money. That is worth money. That's money that we don't have to spend at the store. And as homesteaders, we want to spend as little on food as we possibly can. So there's a couple ways to look at this. At the level that we are at right now, we definitely want to have chicken for the house. We definitely do. But we've gotten good enough at it to where to do a little more, it doesn't take that much time, And yeah, we can make some money on it. We can make actually some pretty good money on it. And but how does pastured poultry fit into the whole scheme here on my farm? I noticed, and this is the fortification process. This is the 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 elegantizing process here. I noticed that people are trained to the store, right? We're all trained. You know, well, you open the freezer and there's no chicken in there. I guess I'll go get one. So you go to Myers and you go to the chicken department and let me have a chicken here. And then you bring the chicken home and now you got a chicken. Well, that's how people are kind of trained. People don't think, oh, I don't have any chicken here. I'll go buy 50 of them from Baker's Green Acres. They don't. They don't do that. They want to buy, I don't know, 2, 3 chickens maybe. A lot of people don't have big freezers at their house. I would, I do. I would recommend it. I think it's good to be able to get a little bit of accumulation going there. So, because I'm a farmer, I'm always preparing for the next thing. I guess you could say I'm a prepper. You could say I'm a survivalist. You could say all those things. I don't care. Say it. But if we had a tornado that went through, like they had the other day down country, and it didn't hit the freezer, then we're still able to eat. So I think that's a smart thing to do, to be prepared for whatever comes your way. So the store model that we have on the farm now was started as an idea. And the idea was, how do we serve people better so they will want to use us? A lot of our customers were not able to buy 50 chickens out of whack. We'd like it if they did, because then, they leave here and their money comes back the other way, and then they put them in their freezer. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. But some people can't. So we store them here. And when people come, they can go in the freezer and they can take one chicken and take their milk. And hey, I think I'll get some eggs while I'm here. So the store idea was part of the streamlining of the process. We need a place to store this stuff anyway, to keep it. Let's open it up to our members so they can just come in, self-serve. We don't have to have anybody at the cash register. We don't even have a cash register. If people need to pay cash, they can either leave it in the fridge but we really kind of like it when people pay online, because for accounting purposes, that's kind of nice. So, if you're at the point, I recommend, if you're at the point where I don't care about profit, at least think about it, because someday you might, right? And the road to maximum profit is a process of attention to detail, thought, information gathering, fellowshipping with people who are doing it and doing it well. They have this saying in the military: if you want to live, you will listen to people who know. So if you get out there and you think you know better than these guys that have been here, you're going to wind up going home in a bag, right? So you listen to people who know. How do you know people who know? How do you know that? Well, because they got 1 million followers on internet? Not necessarily. And I this is a frustration to me a lot with the internet homesteading phenomenon. It becomes a numbers game of views instead of, well, let's pass on legit, useful information about how to do this. Okay, well, you could ask me, well, what makes your information more legit than the next guy's? Profit. Profit. I can show you profit, right? If there's no profit, it's like me going to the golf course and drinking 6 beers and just whacking a ball around and trying to hit Japanese people with it. That's, I'm never going to make it to the level uh, of Tiger Woods. Boom. I just got to fly right off the microphone. Got him. All right. Now, I guess if I really worked at my golf game, me and Tiger would be hanging out. But I don't want to. That Japanese guy I hit probably got my number anyway. No, it's true. I was actually in Japan, and there was a group of us Americanos at the Japanese. Japanese are really into golf, but not many of them, because there's not many golf courses there. But this golf course was an American golf course, but it was on their ground somehow. I don't know. It was run by Japanese people and everything. And so us Americans go in there and like we're racing around with golf carts and stopping at every tee and getting fresh beers and stuff. Like we weren't very serious about it at all, but we did have a good time. And these Japanese guys were in front of us just taking their time. And we kept waiting and waiting. Finally, it's like, I'm not waiting anymore. And so I whacked the ball. I beaned this guy. Poor guy. Poor guy. He came and gave me my ball back. Bonsai. Okay. So tracking your profit is useful. It is useful. And I recommend it. I didn't always do it. And I understand when people don't, but I think you should. I think you should. When you, let's say, you want your process even, you're trying to make the process more elegant. What is it that is subtracting from your bottom line? Well, feed costs. Well, there's nothing you can do about that. Oh, really? Oh, really? Why? Because you've been brainwashed that the only thing that you can feed your chickens is chicken feed from, say, Tractor Supply at $28 a bag. Come on, use that thing for more than just a hat rack. Think about it. Do a little research. What do chickens eat? By golly, can I get that someplace else? Or can the only place I get it from those guys? Well, you can get it from someplace else. Are there any things that we can put in our chicken recipe that's going to give them a boost, that's going to help them to grow at a better, more healthy rate? Well, let's talk about biochar. I mean, there's nothing that we've found that I got a story to tell about that. There's a you guys have heard me tell this story, but I'll tell it again because it's such a good story. There's a condition that exists in the farming world. It's called coccidiosis. Coccidiosis, and cattle can get it. Calves, especially. I don't think pigs are susceptible to it. Not that I have ever heard. But poultry for sure is very susceptible to it. Coccidiosis is from a protozoa called coccidia. A coccidia protozoa. And protozoa is, it's a microbe, and they eat various things, but one of the things they eat, a lot of it is bacteria, right? So when a chick takes up a coccidia protozoa from the soil, which it exists in the soil, and we have a scenario where we have a lot of chickens packed in. I'm hearing a noise out there. It sounds an awful lot like a goat on the freezer. It better not be. And their living uh, their living space is out of balance. Like having 80 chickens in a chicken tractor that's 120 square feet, even though it's good and it's useful and it's humane and we're managing the manure and all that stuff, it's still out of balance with nature. It still is. So, well, should I put 5 in there? You're really cutting into your elegance model there if you only put 5 in. And that doesn't really work either. They still get it. And I think it's mostly because of the model of the chicks that we use. They are not really designed for field operations. You know, they're designed to be in a house, you know, with a special feed. And in that feed, in commercial chickens, they put in uh, a chemical called amprolium, right? And amprolium kills the protozoa, but it also does a number on their gut flora, right? The animal's gut flora. So in your stomach and your intestines and all that, you have a lot of bacteria in there, and you want that in there to break down the food. But long story short, we had terrible coccidia here, and the the word around the neighborhood was, yeah, it's in the soil. There's nothing you can do. It's just you got to get some amprolium going. I even when I first got out of the service, I was getting along good with the university at the time because I was raising more pastured poultry than anybody else in the state, and we had a pretty good system, and the numbers were high, but we were having terrible trouble with coccidiosis. Once they get it, you waste a lot of feed because they're just pooping out raw feed that they're eating, right? And you wind up cutting your losses and you knock off your birds early because they're sick and they're not growing at the rate you want. They look good. They look good. They don't look sick, but their manure tells the story because you can see a little bit of color in it, and it almost looks like chicken feed that's just been in muddy water, and they're just squirting it out. And once they start, it's downhill from there. So you cut your losses and you knock them off early, and you know that's what we were doing. The university people said, "Oh, you need to get some amprolium going in here. You know, you need medicated feed." And I said, "Yeah, but you know, we're supposed to be like organic. I don't want to be doing that, you know, and my customers don't really want that." Oh, it's perfectly safe. It's perfectly safe. The Food and Drug Administration has okayed this many years ago. Everybody uses this, and it comes under the brand name Corid, right? And I think I showed you guys last time I talked about this. A jug of this is $140 now, and it's nasty stuff. It you do not want that stuff on your hands. You definitely don't want it in your system because it kills off your gut flora. And they even say that you have to hold it for 2 weeks before you slaughter the animal. So what does that tell you? And I didn't feel good about it, but the university people were telling me that, oh yeah, this is the head chicken guy at the university. I still have his number on speed dial, right? But I didn't feel good about that. We were going through at least 10 of those jugs a season, and I wasn't happy with it. And anyway, a guy had talked to me about this product called biochar, right? And it's a process where you take wood or bone, anything carbon based, and then you put it in a machine that is a called a retort, and it burns at a certain rate, and da 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 da. There's a lot to it that I won't go into now. But when you're done, you get this charcoal, but it's biochar because uh, a very high percentage, like 99.95 percentage of the distillates in the wood or the bone or whatever other carbon base you put in there are not there anymore. They're cooked out, and you're left with almost pure carbon. And without the distillates in there, Like if you got lump charcoal and you cook with it over a fire, you still smell a little bit of wood. They leave it in there so it smells good, a little mesquite, little apple wood. You want that smell because you're cooking your meat, but you're actually smoking it. But if you're going to feed it to animals, that the distillates that are in there is way off balance and poisonous. Even poisonous. A lot of times animals just won't eat it because just like they wouldn't eat a piece of wood. It's not food for them. But once you've cooked out all the distillates, then they run to it for some reason. Human beings do too, not necessarily to eat it, but they will pick it up and smell it. They'll taste it. I've tested this many, many times. It's got very unique properties to it, and I don't know everything there is to know there. I don't think anybody does, right? But it is a process that happens in forest fires. Yeah, so it's kind of a natural process. So anyway, I was not making that for the purposes of curing coccidiosis. I was not. I was making it for another reason, as a soil amendment that a friend of mine had said, "Hey, this is really cool. You should try it." And we wound up going to a class on it, and he was not able to screw a light bulb in, so I was the one that built the retort, and we were going to be rich. We were going to be millionaires, right? That was back in the days where I wanted to do one thing and do it really well. Kind of that was my mindset coming out of the military. Not the mindset that I'm recommending, not at all. I think you need to be able to do a bunch of stuff adequately, and some of them better. Like get better at certain things, the things that you want to get better at. But anyway, I made this biochar. At the time, we had chicks very early in chicken tractors, but under a roof in chicken tractors. And we were bedding them. And at that time, we wanted as much chicken as we could possibly produce. So we started really early and we went really late. I don't do that anymore. And I had made this biochar, and there was 2 chicken tractors there. We were doing it at the face of this building so we could get in once in a while where it was kind of not in the elements. And I chucked a piece of this biochar in with one of the groups of chickens. There was probably 200 of them, and I just chucked it in, and they were probably 4 weeks old or so, and they just went bananas on it. And we watched them. And if you threw anything in there, they would pick it up and run around with it if you threw a penny in. But eventually they lose interest in it, and the penny will just be sitting there, or a piece of paper or whatever. But not this. They were eating it. And for a minute, I thought, ooh, should I be doing this? Like I knew so little about biochar. But then I thought, charcoal? I don't think there's anything wrong with charcoal, because we had filters that we would put on our gas masks, and they were charcoal filters. We had suits that we would wear for chemical environment that had charcoal in them. So I got to thinking, I don't think there's anything wrong with charcoal. I don't think it's going to hurt them. And it was kind of fun watching them run around with it. So we wound up chucking a bunch in. Hey, kids, watch this. My kids are out there helping me. And then when we went to move those 2 groups out onto the field a couple weeks later, one group was significantly bigger than the other group. And the other group, they're starting to get coccidia because there's a little bit of color in their manure, little kind of yellowy, and then it'll go orange, and then it'll go red. And then when it's really red, they're bleeding from the inside, because the coccidia is eating the chicken instead of the bacteria, because there's so much coccidia in them that there's not enough bacteria to go around. And the lack of bacteria is resulting in them not digesting their food, right? So when they eat this biochar, there's bacteria in it. And the bacteria comes from when we would wet the biochar. We would wet it down to keep it from just burning off, right? So now we actually inoculate the biochar with a compost, barnyard tea, compost kombucha. Yeah, compost kombucha is what we do. We spray it on there when we're grinding it to keep the dust down, so it's inoculated with a high bacterial soup, right? So when the chicks eat it, they don't they're not susceptible to coccidiosis. So we start it immediately when we get them, and then bring them all the way through. And we're finishing out birds in less than 8 weeks. So if I can shave off a week of feed, wow, my profits go up, up, and my elegance goes up. You know, having dead birds out on the field is not cool. Is not cool. Like, I like my operation to be so anytime someone comes here, I'm able to say to whoever's doing that for chores, is that field uptight? I want to show these people the operation. And I get a yes or no. If I get a I don't know, I'm like, get out there and make sure it's uptight. It's got to look good. If a bird was died during the night or something like that, get it out of there. Get it out of there. Throw it in with the pigs. They'll eat it. So making biochar has streamlined the operation immensely. Was that the only place that we got a kick out of? No. We got a kick out of it in soil production, right? In health of the cattle. When you put biochar in their treats in the morning that they get for coming in to get milked, and then they go out into the field and they manure, it's dark. It's dark. And that manure pile, and the little animals come to it, the flies and everything. And then, it becomes just like this spot. And then the fertility from there just grows out because the bacteria that's in there meets up with the bacteria that's in the soil, and then they make more bacteria. So you want a lot of that bacteria in your soil. So, every time I turn around, there's something else that can be done to make the process more productive, more elegant. And I am never, I don't want to say never. I don't like to say never, but I shy away from buying things from, the big pharmaceutical companies to spray on the field, because they would be dumb if they sold you something that you sprayed on the field once in your lifetime. That's dumb. The cars that we drive, they could build them to last 25. No, they could build them to last 100 years. They could. Like, I was in the aircraft industry, and we have aircraft that we're still flying that were built in the 50s, B-52s. They were built in the 50s. Did they build obsolescence into them? No, they built serviceability into them. So the chemical companies, they're all engineers. They know what they're doing, and scientists. They could make a product that we could put on the field one time, and it would ensure fertility for your lifetime. They could do that, but they don't. They make it in such a way that you apply it this year. Ooh, you get a huge kick out of it in your production. You need a little bit more next year, and a little bit more the year after that. And you get to the point where they are right now, where a lot of these fertilizers ain't working at all anymore, right? Because it just puts the whole system in an out of balance condition. So, and so they adjust the chemicals, and that's not what we want to do. That's not a sustainable process Not at all. It was never sold as a sustainable process. It never was. It's like buying a Tesla. You think that's sustainable? It was never sold as sustainable. Anyway, I guess that's it. I'm going to read through here a little bit. I haven't been keeping an eye on this, and if you guys have any questions that you want me to hit on this subject, I can do it right now. If not, our consulting call is tomorrow, 8 o'clock. If you are a Tribe Plus member, you will get a notification on your phone, on your messages, to remind you and give you the code to get into the Zoom meeting. Okay. We say it's an hour. It's generally 2 hours, but nobody seems to mind. You can come, stay as long as you want. If you got to cut out, go. Jamie's with us from Northeast Minnesota, way over in Minnesota. Jenny B. Oh, Jill's listening in because she's saying stuff. Thumbs up and comment for Algos. See, I don't see anybody doing any commenting here. This is really, you guys aren't with the program. International homesteading. International homesteading. Sounds familiar. David Duncan. Good talk. I think it's the good life, start to finish. It certainly is. Like, this creation was made for us, but somebody kind of gets in. It's sort of like being Catholic. I hate to say that, but I was brought up Catholic. And you can't just go talking to God. No, you got to talk to us, right? And then put your money in the thing and light a candle, right? It's a beautiful creation, but then people kind of get in between you and the creation and say, it'd be a lot better with this. And it's only $29 a bottle. And then there's other parasites that get in and say, well, you can't do it without say so from us. I hate that. And I was going to tell you about this. I had a guy text me today, a state representative here in the great state of Michigan. And he tells me, hey, I'm going to be putting a bill forward to make raw milk legal. To make raw milk legal. And I just texted him back and I said, there's a lot to know about that. You can do a lot of damage. You got to be careful. Because, you know, our lawmakers, we think that they are like our officers, like Air Force officers. They're not. They're not. They're just people who get elected. And a lot of times they get elected because they're a special interest that give them a ton of money. And so the way they present themselves is that they are honorable people. A lot of them are not. And I think we know this by now. They are not honorable or good people. Now, this individual, I don't know him, but I kind of question, why are you telling me? You know, I'm running a milk operation, and I don't acknowledge this whole raw milk illegal thing. I don't acknowledge that. And I would if there was a legit law, you know, saying that raw milk, if this were illegal, like if I was holding up, say, methamphetamine right now, that is illegal, or crack cocaine, or certain explosives. There's lots of things that are legitimately illegal to own, manufacture, possess, use. And they use the law as kind of a wedge with people. So the milk industry, big milk, the kind of milk that you get in jugs at, say, Myers, they don't want 1,000 farmers here in the state of Michigan milking 10 cows and knocking down 100 grand a year. They don't want that. I wonder why. I wonder why. Because they've worked themselves into a place where their margin's not that good? Probably. But is that any way to do business, just to tear down your enemy or your competition? Tear it down? Well, they can't really tear us down because the Fifth Amendment gives me the right to this. And I had to say this to the state representative. Well, either these regulations are the law or the U.S. Constitution is the law, but it can't be both. So you tell me which one is the supreme law of the land, the U.S. Constitution or some regulations that these punk organizations come up with, like the USDA. They are punks. They're parasite punks. And who are they doing the bidding for? Big milk, the big milk cartel, big food cartel. They want to eliminate all of their competition so that they're the big dogs, right? But they really can't, because we are a representative republic governed by a constitution. And I don't have to have like some state rep say, yeah, you're right. I don't care what he says. He's not milking cows. He's drinking milk out of the store. I'm just going to stand on the Fifth Amendment, and I'm going to milk cows. And if somebody comes here and says, well, you can't do that because you're breaking our regulations, I will say, take your best shot. And we'll find out who's right. We'll find out if your regulation trumps my Constitution. I never took an oath to your damn regulation. I never did. Never took an oath to the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Natural Resources. I never took an oath to them. I did take an oath to the U.S. Constitution. All military members do. So you've got a bunch of blue hair weirdos working at the Department of Ag, and they create their regulations, and we're supposed to respect that in front of our Constitution that people have died for. Friends of mine, comrades of mine have died for that document. I take issue with that. But I don't really need to take issue. We don't need to educate them. We just need to press on and do what we're doing. If they have a problem with it, do what you got to do. Like, you're not going to do anything because you can't. But they will threaten, and the American public has been beat down so badly. I mean, you've been told so many lies. You've been manipulated so badly that people, you can show them the Fifth Amendment. You can have them read it back to you, but they'll still believe, a lot of them, some fat slob in a white coat with a clipboard and a hairnet that, oh, you've got to be careful. You can get in a lot of trouble. Don't be listening to that Mark Baker. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, yes, he does. Oh, yes, he does. And if I don't, I guess I wouldn't be sitting here drinking this milk. I guess I wouldn't. I guess law enforcement would have come here and locked me up for raw milk violation. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Okay, let's see what else I got here. Beth and David. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Your official on the Tribe Day speakers roster on the website, International Homesteading. Oh, we're going to have Beth the Cleric talking to us on. She is an up and coming star in the homesteading community. She really is. Got a lot of energy. Isaiah said, you want a sheep talk. Yes, he will be there, hands-on, member of my team, and I will do the speaking part. I will call you sometime don't call me. Call Jill. Don't call me, because that's not my thing. That's Jill. Luann Hoffman, where have you been, woman? Aloha. Janine is off this week for her birthday, so here I am. I don't get Janine anymore. I never see her anymore. I don't even know where to find her. I don't know. And you don't forward stuff to me anymore. Does this biochar do anything if it's not inoculated? Actually, it does. and that part of it I can't explain. I can't explain. Like, if you have a child that's been poisoned, one of the first things that they'll do is they'll get while they're trying to decide what they're going to do, they'll try to get as much, charcoal down into their system as they can while they're deciding what they're going to do. They're waiting for toxicology reports. And I don't know why it does that. They sometimes you'll see charcoal and it's what is it called? You get it at the health food store. But really what it is it's puffed. They hit it with high pressure steam and it breaks it into it almost atomizes it. You say that every time, says International. Say what? I didn't say nothing. Oh, right. That's and yay, Jill. So honored and cannot wait. Yeah, that's good. Ben Timber Falling. Raw milk is the real bomb. That's a cool name, Ben Timber Falling. And Just Me is here saying howdy. And the ghost. Yeah, okay, all right. Well, I hope you guys gave me all a thumbs up, and I hope the algorithms are cooking. Last week's show, it got a lot of views, like on the retread. So these all go on the Baker's Green Acres YouTube, and it got a lot of views. And for me, a lot of views is like 300. I'm not sure how the guys do it that really push it over the edge. I really don't know. We have had a couple of videos that got, short videos and stuff. And then some of the videos that I make with my phone that have got a hoop of views. It doesn't mean much. I mean, they're not sending me bags full of cash or anything. So it doesn't mean much to me. It's just kind of a pastime I enjoy doing. I enjoy sharing what I'm doing because I like what I'm doing. All right. If that's it, I guess we're going to call it a day. Let's see if there's anything else. Yep, I announced the seedling day. I don't think International Homesteading is going to be here. I think they have an event at their place the same day, which is unfortunate because I would like to be there, but I will see them at the homesteading conference, I believe. Yes, I will, because I think Beth is speaking there. So great. Thanks everybody for coming. And I guess we'll see you next week. Okay. Good night. End the stream. Sayonara. Anyone?